Hey guys, welcome, welcome. You've got the Wicked Lady Hippie, and yes, I do have all the hats, so we're going to adjust you a little bit or try. Welcome, welcome. This is my bar, my rules. I'm at home. Is that bitching or what? All right. Okay, background you probably already checked. Let's see. Army veteran, published author, mother of one, grandmother of two. One of my grandsons is also an Army veteran. It's me. Just so kind. Now I have live chat up, or I'm beginning to put live chat up, I should say. Um, Hopefully you guys can catch me today. I'm running a bit late. I try to throw an hour in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As you can see, I'm not a professional. I just have the absolute most fun in my life doing this. I think it's a great medium out here that's free, it's available, and hippies are getting a lot of blame for stuff we didn't do because we were too busy working two jobs and going to college for 40 years because they kept changing the technology. So someone like me who ran a division, an office, what have you, I was always back in college or tech school, what have you, training. So we're glad that's all evened out and I retired. Who knew? That's one of my cats. We also board cats, and we have a lot of. It's like an adoption agency. I just haven't really done an LLC or anything. Mainly, my subdivision will come and adopt the kittens if they're kittens because we can't get them all spayed or neutered. So yes, there is the side job of doing that. So I said, "Oh, I'm going to have all this time. I'm not going to do it." Everybody says, "Oh, it's terrible being retired." And it's an empty nest because the kids are gone. And I'm like, my kids been gone for 20 odd years. At 18, they knew they had to go. Their shit was packed after graduation at the door for see ya. I did my job. Fly, babies, fly. So and they knew I was like that. I was not kidding. I was gone at 17. My parents signed permission for me to go in the Army, which was WAC training, but it didn't end up that way. I went to boot camp as the first company of women to train with regular Army. The WACs were phased out by then when I landed. So it was a bit of a surprise to all of us females, and they offered us a choice to get out. We all said, bring it. We all passed. We had Vietnam Airborne Rangers for drills and COs and XOs. And back them days, you had to shine shit, brass, boots, all of it. Now they look like they've slept in them and they all wear fatigues everywhere. We were not allowed to do that. You wore fatigues, of course, especially through basic training, only when you had parade or something, which you get into Class A's dress uniform. And so, we were the first. And now you've got women fighter pilots that are bringing that sucker off a carrier, sharp as a tack, bringing that puppy back like this. I mean, total respect, baby girls. You show them. It's so wonderful to see. I actually straddled the two centuries. Yes, I'm that old. I make this look good, I promise you. It's a lot worse before I try to make something out of it. It's good. Not professional. Entertainment only. If you do pop in and see me, if you like it, you don't like it, I give a rat's ass. But go ahead and put it in there because they seemingly like that stuff. I'm up here because I'm a hippie. They call me a baby boomer, but there's like 4 months overlap, and I'm like, no, no, I was a hippie. I wore the bell bottoms. I did the tie dye. I did all that shit. And you're not going to strip my title and make me a baby boomer. My husband's a baby boomer. He's 4 years older. And yeah, I saw a husband. Can you believe that? It's been decades. Poor man. And I'm wearing, he just bought me this. It's actually a 4-piece set, but I just grabbed the necklace because I was getting ready to do errands and then run back and then do the podcast and then run and get all the animals and things done. Bad weather's moving in. It's already gone to like 100 degrees because of the humidity, but you can see the storm is just getting darker and darker. And I still have the outdoor rescues to take care of. And they all have shelter, so they're fine. Even through the hurricane, even though I worried, my husband had made sure that they were easily protected if they had to get somewhere. And they did, because the tornadoes came through our backyard. Well, all along my subdivision on either side of me and across from me. It started like across from us. We're in a cul-de-sac. So we lost half our forest on the side of the house and 3/4 of the forest behind the house. But all we lost was my hot house, which broke my heart. My husband made that for me. The wood floors inside, broke my heart. But he put together a quick one, real quick, to put the plants back in, because it was getting to be winter, and it was September a couple years ago. and they're still trying to get trees and all that stuff up. So that gives you a little background over here. Again, I try to keep myself on topic, but it's not a good thing. I'm old. I am allowed to have my cigarillos, my little cigars, but only 3 days a week. While I'm talking to y'all, and y'all are going, that bitch crazy, which is a good title for us hippies now. The reason I also wanted to get up here, oh yeah, the smoking thing, 3 times a week I get this because it goes out while I'm talking, and I don't buy them. My husband will get them for me, stick them in the humidifier, or humidor. I don't think he's in the humidifier, but I'm not sure how strong I made the string. Cheers. Oh, that is lovely. That is absolutely lovely. My husband, I'm probably on another subject, get our time. Keep up. So if you made it this far, you're doing good, might as well stay. Buys me these little whiskey fireballs. It's this big burst of cinnamon. After you take a shot, it's a shot. And I've already put one in here. This is my Scottish emblem and crest, all that stuff, because I found out after my son made me do the DNA test, because I'm adopted. And I said, there's no way I'm going to be anything but British. I bet you it's all British. I have strawberry blonde hair. I have hazel eyes, 5'2", and you can't get past that. And my husband is completely Native American. He's 100% of the Creek Nation. I mean, they call him a card-carrying Native American because he's registered with the Indian Bureau of Affairs in D.C. So, because he was chieftain for a while. He's on the chief line, but we're not getting any younger, and we had a lot to do, it turns out, after we retired. We working twice as hard as we did when we had a job. When the job was over, we went home, made dinner, watched TV, went to bed. We'd turn around and I got up at dawn. I mean, you're watching the sunrise with your first cup of coffee going, hurry up, you got even when I was down in bedridden for that year that I couldn't get up and move and all those broken bones. I got a lot of metal. In any event, even then, I still had, the morning ritual. That's what I had to. My husband hated it because usually I would drink a cup of coffee before dawn or as it was rising, then shower and do all that. Well, when I was so incapacitated, he would have to help me in, and he would make the shower chair right so I could get in it and not get anything else wet that couldn't be, and get ready for my day. And so I had that cup of coffee being brought to me for a year. This poor guy, I couldn't do anything. So he had to take over all my duties, which was cute because he used to say I didn't do anything, and then he really had a fit when it was his turn to do it. But I got to do this. I got to do this. Sorry, the house comes first. So every day I still had to do all of this. And a lot of people thought I was nuts because I couldn't get around, of course. Every once in a while, he'd get me in the wheelchair. He could pick me up, put me in the wheelchair, and take me somewhere. But unless they had the cards, the electric cards, I couldn't go. And I was surprised at how many places had it, you could get handicap parking, you could get up the ramp to the store, but the doors weren't automatic, and they had no electric scooter. So you had to use the wheelchair. Well, that wasn't motorized, and I'm an old woman. I have no problem admitting that. So that was just, I couldn't do it. And I was in so much pain by the last few months. They cut off any pain medication like 3 months into it. They didn't operate for a month. So I literally things were just, it's a bad time. And it happened 2 weeks before the hurricane. So here we get all this destruction, and thank God, amen. All of us, our houses somehow, these were giant trees, and they missed our house. They fell everywhere. And there's my husband probably, even though I told him I was going to be going online. No, it's a potential spam. He's being good today. Generally, when I'm up here, he wants me to shield the door so he's not in the shot. None of the family or friends will come up here. They all say, how do you do this? And I just laugh at them. This is the fun part. I keep waiting for somebody to put it in comments. I don't drop videos. If you ask me to, I'll be happy to do that. If it's something you want to talk about, a particular video, I don't see the need to drop the video here. And I talk about everything I'm just saying anyway. But I think everybody's seen most of these clips 4,000 times. So and for me, I guess it's the author in me. It's like plagiarism, and I don't want to do that. And so, like a lot of people, like Bill Maher. Hey, Bill, loved you, still do. Joe Rogan, peace, baby. Love News Radio. Terrible thing that happened. God bless. Love you still. But what I'm saying is, not all of us drop them unless we need to, or it's come up with something. This is my second channel because when I was laid up for that time, it of course had been, I think they just parked it or whatever the term was, but it would not work right for me after that. And so I got frustrated. I said, forget it. And I opened a second channel. So if you look for the Lady Hippie, you'll see my first year. And then that stops because from that, I think it was September, right after Labor Day, that I got viciously wounded. And then I don't come back again until about a year and a half later, because I had physical therapy and all of that when I finally could actually put weight on it. It took forever. I don't know why, but it did. So, yeah, and I'm glad to be back. I don't have many of my followers back from there over here, or I've lost them and I didn't know it to begin with because I don't edit. So there's two things that should tell you. I'm up here. This is what you see is what you get. If it flags me, and it will sometimes. One time I listen to the radio or what have you, music. Well, in the background, it's a bar. I'm at home. I don't even have to call Uber. And that's the thing I love about this is the story behind it. I need to write another book. But yeah, so this is what I think every hippie, and everybody that wants to, of course, jump in. And the one thing I intended to talk about most of the times when I was with you guys is the hippies have been wronged. I mean, you look at the Senate, you look at just Congress as a whole, and I don't think there's anybody in there under 70. Okay, so that is baby boomers, okay? That the hippies aren't of that generation. And the hippies, like I said, we were too busy doing everything to keep up with the technology when we all said, oh, this, that, and the other. And, George Orwell was an important thing to discuss. And, which one was the barcode? That was the evil 666 number and stuff, the mark of the beast. That was, the big thing for like 20 years. Oh, no, they got us. I love when we changed it from, my glasses are pretty, when they changed it from analog, I can't see which way I'm going here, to digital. And that was a lot of fun. And luckily, they seem to have leveled off at about 2020. And mind you, I actually straddled 2 centuries. So as an admin assistant, basically, I ran divisions. And that kind of a thing where you're just the one in charge because everybody else seemed so slow. So I was always hiring, doing the equipment, doing all this stuff, and trying to keep advance while I was doing it. My son, I have only one child, and my son would make me something to eat because I would slip through and grab my lab coat, whichever one I was going to, and head out to the second job, and he would be handing me a grilled cheese on the way out the door. We didn't know you couldn't do that if they were under 13. I had no idea. He was a latchkey kid, but he was a godsend to Mom, and I was raising him on my own, basically, until I married my husband. And he was always Dad then. He never called anybody else Dad. My grandkids, have 2. That's Grandpa. So that never had a problem coming up. That, and I don't allow disrespect from anybody, but in particular, if it's my own son or my own grandchildren. And every once in a while, my son, we'll have the get-togethers and the turkey day, what have you. And my son will look over and tell his son, stop there, Grandma's getting mad. Never mind, Grandma's mad. I'm like, I can hear you. 2 seconds from me. It's like it's a foot. Did you think? And then the kid would shut up. And I say kid, at this point he's like 26, I think. Yeah, he turned 27. But my son and I, we kind of jump-started that in our careers kind of early. But then we got through with it pretty early. So kind of made us younger grandparents. He's not a grandparent yet. That would make me a great grandparent. I'd have to go on the rampage. My grandkids know me as well as my son. My husband has a daughter. And we moved I kept taking everybody to San Antonio. Again, there's a story there, but we moved back from Texas, or to Texas a lot, back and forth. So, yeah, his family, he's a Southern boy. He's off from here. And if that doesn't scare you, ladies, then I have some stories. It should scare you. By the way, those of you who are adopted, I wanted to give you a handout here. You don't have to accept it. You can do your own thing. But my idea here is to tell all of you, if the family, the biological family, reaches out to you, be polite by all means. And when you get off the phone, change your name, change your address by several states, get rid of your phone, start a different bank account somewhere else. Never use that phone call a second time. Certainly not move down there. And I came to Georgia to meet the biological parents. And I met my husband here. The woman who found me was married to my half brother. That woman is my husband's half sister. And so he was introduced to me as my brother in law. And we were both having divorces, had been dragging them for like 3 or 4 years. The spouses just wouldn't cooperate. Yeah, I was my own attorney when I got my divorce, but I digress. That's why we ended up in Georgia, however, because we had custody of his daughter, who was a year younger than my son. So they're brother and sister. You can't tell them apart. One of them had the others back from the get-go. Both of them was like 12, 13. So they hit it off like a house on fire, which we were grateful for. We have step-grandchildren. I do. I have 3 grandchildren and step-grandchildren. One of who heard all my stories about Fort Sam Houston and San Antonio, which is always what brought me back. And he said he went, he didn't tell us he was going. He went and joined like I did, very young. But he had done ROTC and all too. I always advise them to do that, just so you have an idea what's going on. And he joined as a medic because he knew we would train at Fort Sam Houston, because I used to run that. And I had trained as a nurse, which was higher than a medic, before I even went active duty, because that was all you could do on the WAC. You were secretary and nurses. So I was both. And they fought over me, and somehow Fort Sam Houston won. Fort Jackson wanted to keep me, and that was where I did my basic training and my AIT. My AIT was 2 days because I took the exam and blew them away, and they didn't have nothing else for me to do. So they called me and already trained, and I was painting barracks and shit, because electric typewriters had just come out, and they weren't even there yet. They finally got there after I came back from Europe. Well, no, they were starting to get them just before I went to Europe. Definitely by the time I came back in the 80s, that they had them. And it was starting to go, and even at that point, to move. We went from a horse and buggy, look it up, horse and buggy, to standing on the moon in 60 years. Now, I don't know about y'all. This is a young country. It's turned 50 years old. Look at Europe. The Windsor Castle has been lived in for 1,000 years by the same people. We don't have that here. Nobody apparently suddenly likes anybody. If you vote for this one, you're a bad thing. If you vote for that one, you're a bad thing. And so is investigating you because of one of the above. Why not go back to that secret ballot and let everybody cast a ballot that actually counts instead of the Electoral College, which supposedly was brought in, was it after the Civil War? Because some states were smaller than the other ones. Who gives a rock, shit, and ass? That means everybody voted. I don't care if there's 20 people there. It doesn't make a damn. If it's a vote by the people for the people, I don't see why it matters if one state's bigger than the other one. Why? Horrible thing I've been seeing, but it's bad enough with the volcanoes going everywhere. And I had seen swarms of earthquakes at Santorini, which blew me away. I love Santorini. But they live in a caldera. It used to be caldera. Sorry, I don't know why it's doing it to my throat. Try this one. Let's see if I can chase it a little bit. I got to get back in because I can hear my music faintly in the background. I'm sorry. If it bleeds over, I'll have to edit. I hate editing. Let's see. I keep circling back to the same thing, and I'm not sure that I'm actually reaching anybody. It's not just politics that are blamed on baby boomers, who are literally hippies. We weren't here for the baby boomer thing. You attached it to us because we're close, because we still travel the 2 centuries. But there's a lot that needs to be said for that. Excuse me. First, in a lot of things, I was also working the food stamp program as civil servant back in D.C. And you have cards now, but me and my mother-in-law did that. That was what we did for a living for a couple of years, was invent this and get it implemented and so forth. So that was the first. We didn't have that when we was growing up. The other, like the George State Fair, my husband and I were right in there breaking ground. He was construction, and I was the secretary of payroll, the architects, and stuff like this. So that was a first. And when I looked at my life, and I've been making a few notes because people keep telling me that I should write another book. When I was adopted, myself and my sister, we were 9 and 7 by then. We'd been foster kids with these people a while, but they were older, like grandparents. They were World War IIers. Daddy was in the Navy. And so a new program existed to give the parents a stipend check for either child till they were 18. So that was the first, and it was on the Parade magazine, which ponies up with how the actual biological family found us. The birth mother was ill. They found a box, and it was the clippings of us, the Parade magazine, the father's pictures, and that kind of thing. But it didn't say where we were from or what was going on. I did a little bit of digging not long ago, found out it was Des Moines, Illinois, where my birth certificate, it says Cook County, but we were in Des Moines. We weren't Chicago. We were in Des Moines, Illinois. So things were changed, and my last name was changed, and it made me mad because I used to tell them all the time I was at Holmes, which I was. There was never a question of that. I was reading college level at 9, so at 4 I was a smart ass. Actually, that never went away. It's like, leave, follow, get the hell out of the way. I'm one of those that says, get the hell out of my way. What are you doing? You're on break. So yeah, my secretaries probably hated me. It'll work. It's what you're there for. I mean, I'm running anyway. Yeah, you're there to help me, and you're sitting there eating lunch. I ain't lunch. I'm probably not gonna get a lunch hour today. So get your ass up. That was tough. Which is what got us women. Not a one of us did we lose to be trained. And the guys told us after we were trained and we graduated, and they said that we were hard on you. We didn't think you was gonna make it. We thought women probably ought to stay as wax. We were wrong. You guys did perfect in all of it. And we did. We took honors left and right. I passed the boys off had to there. There we go, just because they're girls. But no, they didn't do that. They treated us with honor, with respect, assistance, that shoulder to cry on because you can't move and your eyebrows hurt. And they were there to go, here, try this, get some water. Or maybe a beer if you got to go off base. You had to get dressed up to go off base. So either way, they knew you were military. And up until I got to a permanent duty station, I didn't get into civilian clothes. And so, and when I was overseas, in several countries, I used to just throw in my Class A's. I used my Army ID. I had a passport, but I didn't rely on it. I took it. But running to Italy, France, but all that, because they're right there. It's like the States, but they're countries. And I had a great station over there. I loved it. It was freaking awesome. But anyway, my step grandson said he had listened to that, and he had gone in and he said, Grandma, you were so right. I said it hadn't changed. It was like a college campus more than it was, a fort where people trained, because it was mainly just training the medics. And you had a lot of captains, lieutenants, and all that, because they were like almost doctors to be residents. Some of them were doctors already and trying to pay off student loans. So they just would go and, and maybe if they were, they'd keep going if they were residents or what have you. I used to do their tests for them. Back before we knew Xerox existed, it was carbon paper. You had 42 officers need you to put together 1,700 tests yesterday. Then people wondered why I typed 148 words a minute without an error. I wore out 3 or 4 typewriters as I moved around. Because that moved. But you can't type faster than you can read. So some people kind of over that. How do you do that? It's not the training. You got to read that fast. The training is to know where you put your fingers, sure. But it's automatic if you're doing it as you're reading. And so I always blew them away. And then I always had a few standards that they had to meet if they were going to work for me and my team. You had to be damn good. You had to be able to work overtime. But they were rewarded with things like pizza parties and, birthday parties. We didn't just always, run it at triple speed. But if we did that, we ran at double speed later. So I was glad to see that it evened it out, before I actually retired. And now, like I said, we're actually more busy, if you ask me. I have to get all this stuff straightened out. So forgive me, my living room and areas should be already done. I had to do errands, so I just basically got ready, tripped out, did my light fantastic, came back in 4.5 hours, was gone. And I was like, it was 2 miles away. What the hell? It's to me like time has condensed. Like I said, my husband will get up after me, but I give it dawn. And literally, I'll get all this stuff done. And I don't even think of looking at the clock. I've been doing this since I was, like 3. So I'm thinking, it's been an hour, hour and a half to get showered, ready for the day. And I'll look and it's 12:30. I'm like, where the hell? It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, this isn't for kids. The Army kind of links through, but I was thinking of that song. What the fuck? And the other thing I wanted to talk about, see, this just goes with whatever's in my head. Pick a topic, I'll try to stick to it. But I've been watching, I don't know why, and it's not just me. I've been watching the Chinese dramas, usually set in the Han Fu dynasty, those outfits. And I would like to know something. If you ladies are out there, if you haven't seen these, go to YouTube and put in Chinese drama and just start picking. Not only are the women attractive, and that's hard for another woman to say, but you got to give credit where it's due, but the men are, just look it up. I've been thinking about getting a ticket to China. I'm like, they can't be all bad. Look at this puppy. Mama done raised them boys right. I'm just saying, you got to do it. Somebody do that and let me know if you do, like what you thought. They go, if you're rating a man like they do as women, from 1 to 10, they broke the scale. And I'm married and I'm old, and it pisses me off every time because I find out that they're my grandson's age, and I keep wondering where the hell they were when I was that age. And running around the country, or any country, I would have stopped in there. At least for a week or 2. I'd have saved up, Lou, by God. No, I went to Italy and all these other places. And, well, now they had some fairly good-looking men, but you didn't really see them unless you were at the high-dollar places, like the Eiffel Tower. And then you could tell that those of us who were living hand-to-mouth and those who had been born rich. It was, cord jaw and stuff. It's always been a poor girl, loved it. Ran through the museums, literally ran through the museums all over Europe. You couldn't see them. Go to the Louvre. But if you want to see something, go to the Louvre for like 3 years running every damn day. You will still see shit you have not seen before. So I used to run through there a lot. I love the transit system and the Autobahn, the way everything's designed. And DC did a good job on that as well, as far as getting from one place to another, in particular the tourist attraction, the Washington Monument, Lincoln Monument. You could grab the bus or the train, and it would let you out there. And you could use, it was just too cool. It got in like a shelter from the storm for, a bus. And you did this, and you got the bus ticket would turn into the train ticket. So, or vice versa, however you were. And I loved it. It was so clean and so great. It worked out well. But then again, I used to go to the Watergate Hotel for a 2 martini and Valium lunch. So I always had, it was kind of cute. We didn't go all the time. We went a lot of the time. Then they took that down. I was so upset when I saw that. We used to go in there a lot. When me and my mother-in-law, she was a hoot. She was divorced. And unfortunately, that's also the husband that I divorced because I adored her. And we would go in there. I had a senator, I'm going to say who, but he would always come over and buy me a drink. No, I have never bought a drink for myself. Ladies, listen up. Don't do that. Sit down and talk to the guy next to you. He'll buy you a drink. You don't got to take him home to China. It's like fire. For some reason, every time I yell fire, I crack up. It could be because I used to teach the paramedics, and they were firemen back in the day. That was when the program started. It started in LA and then came out to Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and Texas was the next state that began it. And I used to teach the firemen. Basic field medicine, how to set an IV, splint, what have you, stop a wound from bleeding to death with a tourniquet. It's, normal shit. Well, they did learn to do IVs, and they communicate with the hospital. There's a show called Emergency. It's on, I don't think it's YouTube. I have a Roku, and I pulled it up, so you just have to search it, but it's worth watching. They were my idols when I left. That was one of the reasons I did go back in, and then I had time being at Fort Sam. And at night, I would train them. 3 or 4 nights a week. And we always had such fun. I was always yelling, "Is the pole free?" Watching them fall off. There'd be 2 or 3 of them waiting at the bottom to catch me because I've never been quite sane. I had a lot of fun. I really did. This thing always goes out the. I'm going to add me another little bit because, like I said, when I get off of here, I'm absolutely. Isn't this the cutest thing? I don't know if you can see. I added a little bit, and this pattern goes all the way down and around the bottom. And it's my husband. Surprised at this one. I always try to, like I said, dress. Even if I'm stuck in a bed, I'm going to be having makeup, jewelry, all that stuff redone every morning. Although it seems to take me longer now that I no longer have the excuse to say, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm broken." So apparently, I was broken. Period. So I walked in to check the mail. He's underneath the car. He's always underneath the car. But he charges them. It's the neighbors and their friends. And it's like he's opened a shop out there. I mean, he actually, yeah. And so here he is at 70 out there doing this in this heat. So I worry about that. But he's got the industrial favor. I don't like it. So I go out, check on him a lot. And I wanted to see if the mail had come in. So I went out and I went out to where he's working. And he's like, "Well, what are you getting all gussied up to do?" It's like, he's gussied up a word. And I would take that as a compliment. It's my husband. I know him. It's been over 3 decades. It was a compliment. Yes. Even though he's Native American, he's a complete Southern boy, down to the Confederate flag. I think he'd have it painted on his truck if he could afford it. Actually, he could paint it himself on a truck. He's that good. He used to train. He was an instructor for semis. And by the time he finally quit driving 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, just before I got hurt real bad, before the hurricane too. And they all still call him, they all still text him, every one of his students, every one of them. And that's something, I think, because it's not usual. You don't find that a lot. And in his family, his brothers also drove semis. His friends, of course, mainly. So, and he's a very great guy. He's a wonderful guy. He would fix the semi truck on the side of the road and not charge them. And they wouldn't give him anything. And yet they would have to have spent $3,000-$4,000 to have it towed and repaired. He's out there on the side of the road in his big ass under the hood. I've seen this. And then he would call them and say, "It needs this part. I need you to send me the money for the part, or just buy the part, I'll pick it up." And he stranded because so it used to cost him just to fix them for him. I got out his ass about that a couple of times. Finally, he said, "Yeah, okay." And he wasn't getting paid what he had to pay somebody else, but they did pay him for downtime and working there. Because they even took his hours off. If it took him 6 hours to get a part, repair it, and all that, he didn't get paid for the 6 hours of time that it took for him to drive. They wouldn't put that out there. And yeah, I was like, "Oh no, don't do this again. If this is the way they're going to treat you, you don't need this job." Because he could have done any of them, and he didn't. But again, he's also been a master mechanic. He's an ace mechanic. Really, I haven't seen much you can't do. I've seen him rewire a house so his mom can have air conditioning, and the home was 150 years old. So it had the weird wiring from the 1920s. And nothing blew up or caught fires. Painted here. When we got this bar, we thought it was a small bar. It was a $7 million home. This is a Remington bar, so it is huge. It's got like a horseshoe shape, but squared. And then across from it's got the huge mirror for the stemware and all the alcohol. And underneath it's got marble, a marble sink, a marble cutting area. We bought an ice machine and put that there. It's got all kinds of different stuffs to make drink, even an old fashioned. We have a refrigerator, many refrigerators attached to on every side. And we blocked off the kitchen, and he redone the entire run of floor. Because I told him to go ahead and get it. By then, he was going to say, "I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Go ahead and get it. We'll just find a way to do this." And we took everything out, the bookcases out, the china cabinets. There were 2 of those. The dining room table was 6, and he had made that himself. Tile mill, people, and he would just store them. We have a big red, white, like I call it the barn, but it's a storage shed. So all that went out there, and the whole bottom floor was redesigned. We just still have put stuff up on the walls. Whatever we ran into, we stuck it up there because we're old. And if we're at the bar most days or evenings, no, we don't give a shit what's on the walls. I used to, but life is fleeting. It's short. Even though, like myself, you might believe in karma and reincarnation, you just never know how long that's going to take. And again, back circling to the Chinese dramas, oh, ladies, please look that up. If you can hear me say this, share that with your girlfriends, or you just tell them. Sharing it would help me out, though. But let them know that they're missing out on something. I did not know, like I said previously, that they will become this popular in the West, and they have gone crazy. John Legge is one of my favorite, and it turns out, and I kept seeing him on movies. I haven't seen maybe but 10 or 15 of them, but there's a lot. And I said, that's John Legge, and he's very popular. The last movie, or maybe the second to last, he played 17 times the male leading role. And I've caught like 6 of them, I think, maybe 7. And he gets just better. Just gets better. That's not the way the American actors do so much. Well, there's a few. These, I keep going, I just saw you on the last movie. I saw you 3 movies before. How, my God, did you get better? They do. And a lot of maybe it's the makeup and the hair, it's the Hanukkah look. But I would love to try that. But they ought to go back to that. The men look freaking awesomely handsome in that stuff, and so do the women. Actually, even with age is a factor. Glasses are great. Guess they're going to stay that way. What's in there? Anyway, yeah, check those out. You men too. The women are absolutely extraordinarily beautiful. And I kept going, where in God's name have you guys been for 45 years? Like, what the fuck? That's this. I keep hearing that song in my head. What the fuck? It's my fault. They deliver that stuff to my door now. We don't have to sit around in a circle. Yeah. I learned a few things when I got in the Army. I'm much happier. I never went back home. Our kids came home 3 times with husbands and wives and babies. And we're like, man, where's your second job? It's what worked for us. I didn't even live in the same state with my parents. I don't know how the hell they could have helped. And they were old and they were gone fast for me. It seemed like I'd just gotten in the military and got to Europe and to turn around and come back. Father had passed. William Everett. They were great people. They were so awesome. They were just great people. And I was constantly doing all the housework. She was older. And she didn't ask. I didn't think she should have to, especially on the weekends. I was always 3 to 4 chapters ahead on any class I had, if I wasn't actually 3 grades ahead. That happened a lot, even back then. Because I would come in and sweep and mop, and we had hardwood floors, and do all the laundry, whatever she was going after. Always did the dishes, cleaned the kitchen, so she cooked, and somebody should help out with that. And I was so short. I was only 4'6" when I got to 8th grade. Tiny. But I've been taking karate lessons since I was 6 or 7. And some people really underestimate. I don't do it, guys. Don't underestimate small women. At least not all the time. Now, after I went in the military, I've also stayed. I carry. And I carry the one where it hits you with the red dot. It paints you. And I don't even have to aim. I just, okay, there it is. Mine will reach out, touch your ass. Well, I've got several. We've got long guns, short guns, you name it. Gonna to start a third world party. Yeah, playing the Blackhawks, I get bored. I think they're gonna leave me alone. I've just not enough big fish for them. Hippies unite! Get up here, open your own channel. Like I said, Nancy Pelosi, she's Okay, what is she, 90? Why do people continue to stay in these jobs for 40 and 50 years? They ain't done nothing. They say the same camp, we're going to do this and then we're going to do that every damn 4 years, what have you. And you can't find anybody that actually voted for them. Why are they still there? In many of their cases, they own not just one home, they're multiple homeowners, meaning they have a lot of fucking money. Because even one home will cut your ass. So these guys have some money. So what makes somebody 86 years old get up and go, I got to run for Congress again? What? So they can't blame the hippies. They almost can't blame the baby boomers, but unfortunately, there are a lot of baby boomers. But you really can't blame the hippies too much. And the few that are in there that are younger, they're not hippies. I don't know, they call them Generation Z or whatever they're doing. But these guys, there's that age gap between the hippies. It's like a decade there. It's like we weren't in there. We weren't trying to change laws. We weren't marching other than to say everybody is human. When you are dying on a hospital table, you don't tell them, yeah, I'm going to need the Irish one. They need to be red haired. No, you don't fucking do that. They don't put the blood in. They ain't asked you shit. And they don't have to. They don't cross type that put your ass up in there. So you did not die from blood loss. So why are people doing, I don't know, the month for Black, what is it, Pride, History? Why? That is racist. You don't have a Caucasian or an Asian. You have Cinco de Mayo, which again is racist. You're singling out one particular race in this country when this country says they won't make no difference in this. Well, I also said I'm in a parallel universe because there's at least 3 people that were born in like Somalia and Pakistan that are in Congress. And I'm like, what the hell? They're not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be only those who are born American soil could they serve this country. And I'm like, I know I've walked into an alternate universe. And I kept going, why do they keep saying there's 50 states? I swear to God, it's like the Mandela effect. I really do seem to have that because I remember there being 54 states. But then I watched a clip where they asked the woman how many stars was on the American flag. And she said, 120? And I went, and she's like, well, I'm not exactly sure. It could be 150. The stars represent the states, so there's only 50. And I don't know where the other 4 went. And that really hit me when that happened. And then I saw Mandela actually alive. I had actually attended his funeral. I did so via television, but I did the same thing with Princess Diana. I still cry at her name just about. But yeah, I went to his funeral and I paid my respects via television. That's the best you can do. You work. And then I turn around 2-3 years later and he's up there, the head of the UN and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I went to, okay. Because they keep telling you that, no, you didn't. It never happened. And you're like, that's like saying 9/11 never happened. I watched it live. I got home from work for lunch. My husband called me as I come in and said, a plane has hit the tower. And I said, oh my God. Well, they're kind of built to withstand that because a plane has gone through the tower before. And I pulled up the TV and I was like, they do, it is on every channel. And I said, but they have been supposedly put together so that if a plane hits, they can get everybody out and, put the fires out and so forth. It's a problem usually only to the upper floors because the flames kind of leap up, I guess. But they came out of Tower 1 and I had seen this. This is right where all the news people are and stuff. Back then it was actual news. And they're filming this thing coming right in. I said, how did they actually get this film of a plane hitting the building? How did they know to even film? But they did. And I saw it hit. And I said, that's deliberate. That's no plane accident. And I'm on the phone with my husband. I said, this is a terrorist attack. He said, oh, no. I can't really watch it right now. Can you tell what's going on? I said, it's a terrorist attack. They went through the middle of the, Tower 1 and exploded. This is a terror attack. They didn't try to avoid that. They flew straight into that ship. And he says, you're kidding. I was like, no. I warned everybody about this when I came back from Europe. I knew it was coming. And they kept putting terrorist nations on the UN. And it was like, what the hell? And then we get up there in the UN address and tell you They were going to use Sharia law against you using your own laws to do it. And by God, they were right. The same with the Hispanics, the same with the Nigerians, the same with the Somalians, the same with. It's supposed to be America. We're not supposed to give a shit. I'm British, like I said. My son made me test. I had always told him he was Danish or of that era, well, that area of the world. And he kept saying he didn't believe me because he had found his biological sister-in-law when he was up in age. And she kept saying I was a liar. And I was like, why would you show me the family tree, the family crest, all this work you've done, and then say you never did it? And I told my son, I said, I do not know why she said that, but I'm not lying about that. And it was important to me because it affected you. Now, I don't know why she's lying about it now. There may be some reason ulteriorly that I don't know about. But he bought her. He stood with her. And 10 years later, we're doing the DNA. And I said, you too. So he had to do it too. And of course, it came back Denmark. The Netherlands, which is what I told him. And mine was completely British, 100% British. My husband was surprised because supposedly they thought I was Native American because through the mother's line, they're supposed to be Native American. No, I am completely 100% British. My sister was never tested and she's crossed the Rainbow Bridge as well. So is the adopted brother. So is the biological half brothers. So I have no immediate family or descended family. I have only my son and my grandchildren that are still with me. Thank you, Lord. I never thought to reach his 60. I don't think there's too many hippies that said they would make it this far. I know George Carlin used to crack me up about that shit. But yeah, we are now coming back out of the woodwork. That's why I said, don't let them blame us because you got Nancy Pelosi for 45 years. We didn't vote for this broad. We weren't serving. Y'all are serving when you're 80s and 90s, and you won't get out of the seats till you die. Hence, Senator Kennedy. Chappaquiddick, come on. That man didn't even report the accident for 3 damn days. He got away with murdering that girl. They didn't even send a wreath to her funeral. They just buried that shit. And like I said, I used to go to the Watergate Hotel all the time and find out some shit out there. Man. You get them all, they all drinking. You say, fuck going back to work. I come in on Saturdays too, especially if I knew everybody was in session. And I used to go to the sessions. It's supposed to be the people's house. You're supposed to be able to go and sit in there and watch. Maybe not the floor, the balcony areas, but still, it's the Senate. It's for you. We the people, for the people, by the people, of the people, all of that people. And then, again, I don't understand the electoral college. All this state's smaller. They won't have as many people. It doesn't matter. It's one person, one vote. Who cares that you don't have so many? What is that about? Well, they can't control, apparently, the two sides that actually run. And I can't figure that out either. I don't think, again, that is one of the biggest forms of racism that I've come across, is the Democrats and the Republicans. Then I said we should have a Tea Party, and if they didn't throw one of them in there and got that together, and they still fucked that up. It's just a clusterfuck. It is a clusterfuck on steroids, what's going on in the nation's capital. And they could teach Russia a thing or two. I mean, come on. Screwing around with Donnie, put a ballroom up. Come on, guys. He paid for it and the other donations. Y'all ain't fucking paying for it. When Obama was in there, he paid $48 million for a basketball court. You really think a basketball court costs $48 million? Look it up. So I get wired up at this point because I've had all my drinks and I gotta go. Think of the song Freebird. Come on, veterans. Come out here and support one. I might be old, but I'm not dead. Well, I am married. I'm just not going to watch this one. He doesn't usually watch it. One time he did, and he put in the "shut up, bitch." I'm not kidding. I went and slapped piss on him, but it was. I'm 5'2". He's 6'2". There is some reason why we ladies who are short keep marrying these guys a foot taller. I think we like to just bring them to heel occasionally. I stand on a stool. What the? Did it with my kids too. My son is almost 6 foot, so my grandson is 6'2". Everybody once in a while got that. But his mama is big. Now, my son didn't marry for his first child, but he claimed his child. I mean, he was the father, and he did all the right things, paid support, took him for days, and finally, at 9, she just gave it to him because she had a whole mess with her life, just gone all. But she's good now. She's fine now, and I'm so pleased to see that, and that the kids are good. Um, my grandson has 2 stepsisters because his mother married. Um, like I said, my son, and her did never marry, but he was the father and was responsible. But she did finally get married, well, pretty quick actually, and he was awful. He was just awful. And we used to go get the grandkids. She had 3 children, and we haven't seen him in a while. Between my accident, my husband also fought cancer. I had to fight off cancer. So for the last decade, we've either been fighting cancer, winning, thank you, Lord, or severely injured like I was. And they live down below Macon. And anybody that has a 9 to 5 job or a 9 to 10 job, whatever, and we've all been there. So I don't go, oh, I haven't seen you. And I don't do that. I just go, hey, what's up? Yeah, I used to do Facebook a lot, and I found I can't. This is what I said about time dismissing. Already, my hour's nearly up. I'm going, where did I go with this broadcast? I'm thinking nowhere. Excuse me. So maybe I should circle back. Come see me. Come talk about stuff. I think the hippie generation has been maligned. I really do. I didn't get to be a hippie. Now, most of us didn't. If we had kids, we went to work. We dealt with the man, tried to accept the barcode. We loved Alf. Got a friend of mine, a big life-size Alf. That sucker always had it in the PLBC. He always got in the POV line with Alf as this guy. We bought that for him for his birthday one year, and Alf was, of course, out then. It also dates me. I would love to see. I'm an Army veteran, like I said, and if I see a procession going by that's a military person that's passed, I'm parking my car and getting out to pay my respects. And I see most people don't do that. They should, and in Europe they do. They just immediately they peel in and park. We don't have ours as white because they can actually just zip in and kind of parallel park. And it's just lovely. It's like a wave. And I feel that many of the veterans did not get the recognition they deserved, although I see it's back now. I get thanked all the time. All my health care is at the VA. My husband's is not. Some his Medicaid, he pays the insurance company. I refuse. I have Medicaid, which means nothing because I don't pay a health insurance company. I just go and pay VA. It's like $5 for your medication. It's my expense. So, and it's old home week. As soon as I go over there, everybody, hey, you're back. Because all of us tend to get the same kind of distance between our appointments. So if they're there in August and you go back in November, well, they're there too. And so and they always tell me, please don't go yet. Because you tend to leave as soon as your doctor's through, and you don't have to wait more than 20 minutes. Your doctor goes see you in 20 minutes, and they're going to type it all in themselves, which I thought was horrific after I had just begun to get ready to retire. They had cut down so many jobs for people like me. Data entry, we should take care of all the doctor stuff. We did all the testing. We did all this stuff. It was gone because they were doing it themselves now while they're with the patient. So millions of jobs just got sliced. I was lucky to retire when I did. Because it's like cashiers now. I don't even have to, I used to head for the cashier to make sure that the cashiers were the ones making a paycheck. But even now, I go and check it out myself because I don't feel like hanging around. I'm in there, I'm tired, I've done all this stuff. I'm going to get out of here. Instead of standing here waiting for you to do it, put it in my car, do all that. No, I'm going to slam this puppy through. I used to be, for my second job, I was a cashier. It was before you could go beep, beep, beep. You had to actually enter it in and how much it was. And then at the end, you had to put in tax, you had to put in sales tax, you had to do all that. You had to count their change back to them and give them receipts. Nowadays, they go, here, you want it? I was saying, nothing. That's it. Like, fuck, I don't need it. I got to do this shit myself. I tell them all the time I'm an untrained, unpaid cashier. It's like I love Gator Gitmo. They called it Alligator Alley. I love Gator Gitmo better. That's mine. Don't change that. Gulf of America. I saw Hillary Clinton learn about that, and she just fell out. I thought that was the funniest thing I'd seen in a decade. But yeah, hippies unite. Come on. I'm seeing it keeps going out. That's why my husband lets me have him at the bar. I hate him sometimes. Because if it's out when I go off my broadcast, that's it for me. I have to leave it there. Yeah, I have to go hide it. Thanks for bearing with me. If you're stuck with me this long, you might as well subscribe. You've done been tapped. Come on, I need you guys. Come on. Oh, that has settled in nicely. So come see me if you can. If you can't, put something in the comments or or you didn't like it, that's okay too. We all have the right to say that. But come talk to me. Let's find out what the hippies are doing. Let's remind ourselves what the hippies didn't do. We didn't put the country in this shit. Stop blaming me for that shit. I'm pissed off enough. I spent 40 years of my working career having to go back and educate myself and those under me. Bite me. Come on now. I mean, hippies unite. This is the time to say, just a damn minute. Those are baby boomers. We're hippies. We had that when I served. It was the only time we'd been at peace between the 20th century and the 21st century. After my service, everybody went to war. Even my grandson, who was in Korea. And when he got back, he was done. I don't blame him. I'd have been fucking done too. But I did Europe. I mean, it was like college. I mean, you had a 9-to-5 job. My son was born in Heidelberg, Germany. And so I was constantly running from place to place. And I had a place off base. I didn't live on base because in Europe, they had these 8-bedroom apartments. And I just had my child. I didn't want to take an apartment from a family of 5, so. And I found a great cottage on a farm, a German farm, and they were so funny. They wanted Jack Daniels, American ice cream, and American jeans. And that was how and American Marlboro cigarettes. You could only get 4 cartons a month. And that's how I paid my rent. So I picked these up when I was in Europe because I was selling my others to pay my rent, and I still worked the second job. I mean, he was an infant. I would walk through the Black Forest, get him over to the center, jump on a bus and go in. I had to clean nights for different offices, and that kept me alive and my baby well fed. But you couldn't do it on one salary. I'd work too. But I'm coming up on I got to go time. Sorry. You probably actually prefer that to seeing what's under the smoke. No, I'm not 21. Oh, but I had fun when I was 21. Ladies, check out the Chinese dramas. Zhang Lehi, look him up. Z-H-H-E-N-G, rather. E-C-H-I-N-G-E. You'll figure it out. Ask Google. Do it on a microphone. That's what I do. I'm not typing that in. I can't get past my fingernails. I can type away on anything else, but the tiny little things on the phone, I can't do that. It annoys the hell out of me. And I don't always have long fingernails, but most of the times I do. I've been doing this for all my life, so I don't see why I should stop now, except that I don't text because it pisses me off. But I got to go. I see I've got like a minute left. I don't know. If you guys want to talk about it, come on by. Come see me at the bar. If you're in Augusta, Georgia, throw it in the comments, sit in live chat. I don't care. I get a ding, so I'll know if you're coming. And I would love to have you here at my bar. I really would love that. We're set up. We can do that. You can do the Zoom call. You can do any of those things, and I would be loving to have you. And I see I'm coming up on my last minute. So thanks for joining me. If you stuck in here for the whole thing, y'all need a reward. So call me. It's free booze. It's a great bar. Have a lot of fun with this and my friends. And you don't have to go on if you don't want to, but you can certainly interact if you'd like to, or start your own channel. It's Hippies Unite, man. This social Woodstock is better than air conditioning. Whoever voted air conditioning is my top guy, and my second top guy is this. So come see me on Monday. I only do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. May the good Lord take a liking to all of us. Amen.